Jimmy Carter was born on October 1st, 1924, in the small town of Plains, Georgia. He grew up during a time of great change and hardship in the American South. The Great Depression cast a long shadow over his childhood, shaping his values and worldview. Carter's upbringing instilled in him a deep sense of empathy for the struggles of ordinary people. Carter's family owned a peanut farm, where he learned the value of hard work and perseverance. The farm was a central part of his life, and he often spoke fondly of his time spent working the land. It was during these formative years that Carter developed a strong moral compass guided by his Baptist faith. After graduating high school, Carter attended the Georgia Institute of Technology, where he excelled in his studies. He then went on to the United States Naval Academy, graduating in 1946 with a degree in engineering. Carter served in the Navy for 7 years, rising to the rank of lieutenant. In 1953, tragedy struck the Carter family when his father passed away. Carter made the difficult decision to leave the Navy and return to Plains to take over the family's peanut business. With hard work and determination, he turned the struggling farm into a successful enterprise. Carter's foray into politics began in the 1960s, when he served on local school boards and the Georgia State Senate. He quickly gained a reputation as a man of integrity and principle, someone who was genuinely interested in serving the people. In 1970, Carter ran for governor of Georgia and won, promising to restore honesty and transparency to state government. As governor, Carter championed progressive causes such as racial equality and environmental protection. He earned praise for his efforts to reform the state's education system and improve access to healthcare for the poor. Carter's accomplishments as governor brought him to the attention of the National Democratic Party. In 1976, Carter announced his candidacy for President of the United States. His message of honesty, humility, and a commitment to the common good resonated with voters who were disillusioned by the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War. Carter's outsider status and down-to-earth demeanor made him an appealing alternative to the political establishment. Carter's opponent in the general election was incumbent President Gerald Ford. The race was close, but Carter ultimately emerged victorious, becoming the 39th President of the United States. His victory marked the beginning of a new chapter in American history. Jimmy Carter's presidency was marked by both significant achievements and formidable challenges. He came into office with an ambitious agenda, seeking to address pressing domestic issues while also promoting peace and human rights abroad. However, Carter faced a divided Congress and a turbulent international landscape that made it difficult to fully realize his vision. One of Carter's first acts as president was to pardon Vietnam War draft evaders, a decision that was both praised and criticized. Supporters saw it as a gesture of healing and reconciliation, while opponents argued that it undermined the rule of law. Nevertheless, Carter's decision reflected his commitment to ending the divisions that had plagued the nation during the Vietnam War era. Carter also made significant strides in the area of environmental protection. He created millions of acres of national park land, established the Department of Energy, and signed legislation aimed at reducing air and water pollution. Carter understood the importance of protecting the environment for future generations, and his actions laid the groundwork for future environmental policies. However, Carter's presidency was also marked by economic challenges. The nation was grappling with high inflation and unemployment, and Carter's efforts to address these issues were met with mixed results. The energy crisis of the late 1970s further complicated matters, leading to long lines at gas stations and a sense of national unease. One of the most enduring achievements of Jimmy Carter's presidency was the Camp David Accords. In 1978, Carter invited Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin to Camp David, the presidential retreat in Maryland, for a summit to discuss peace in the Middle East. The negotiations were tense and fraught with difficulty, but Carter's patience and persistence paid off. After 13 days of intense talks, Sadat and Begin signed the Camp David Accords, a framework for peace between Egypt and Israel. The Accords were a historic breakthrough, marking the first time that an Arab nation had formally recognized Israel's right to exist. Carter's role in brokering the Accords earned him widespread praise and cemented his legacy as a peacemaker. The Camp David Accords were a testament to Carter's belief in the power of diplomacy and his unwavering commitment to peace. The Accords were not a panacea for the complex problems of the Middle East, but they represented a significant step forward. Carter's efforts paved the way for future peace negotiations and helped to create a more stable and secure region. The Camp David Accords remain a shining example of what can be achieved through dialogue and compromise. Carter's legacy as a peacemaker continues to inspire world leaders and ordinary citizens alike to seek peaceful solutions to conflict. Section 5. The Iran hostage crisis, a test of resolve. Despite his foreign policy successes, Jimmy Carter's presidency was also marked by a major international crisis, the Iran hostage crisis. In November 1979, a group of Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 American diplomats and citizens hostage. The hostage takers demanded the extradition of the deposed Shah of Iran, who was receiving medical treatment in the United States. The Iran hostage crisis dominated the final year of Carter's presidency, casting a long shadow over his administration. Carter refused to give in to the hostage takers' demands, fearing that doing so would encourage further acts of terrorism. Instead, he pursued a strategy of diplomacy and economic sanctions, hoping to secure the hostages' release without resorting to military force. The crisis proved to be a difficult and frustrating ordeal for Carter and the American people. The hostages were held captive for 444 days, their fate uncertain. Carter's attempts to negotiate their release were met with repeated setbacks, and the crisis took a toll on his popularity and presidency. The hostage crisis ultimately ended on January 20th, 1981, the day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as the 40th President of the United States. While the hostages' release was a cause for celebration, the crisis had a lasting impact on Carter's presidency and American foreign policy. Section 6. A life dedicated to service, the Carter Center and beyond. After leaving the White House, Jimmy Carter returned to Georgia, where he continued to lead a life of purpose and impact. He and his wife Rosalynn founded the Carter Center, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting peace, democracy, and global health. The Carter Center has worked tirelessly to advance human rights, fight disease, and resolve conflicts around the world. Carter's post-presidency work earned him widespread admiration and respect. He traveled extensively, meeting with world leaders and ordinary citizens alike. Carter was a tireless advocate for peace and justice, and his efforts helped to improve the lives of countless people around the globe. In 2002, Carter was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his decades of untiring effort to find peaceful solutions to international conflicts, to advance democracy and human rights, and to promote economic and social development. The Nobel Committee praised Carter's unwavering commitment to peaceful resolution of conflicts and his role as a mediator in international conflicts, as an advocate for human rights, and as a global champion of democracy. Carter's Nobel Prize was a testament to his enduring legacy as a peacemaker and humanitarian. His post-presidency work demonstrated that it is possible to make a difference in the world, even after leaving the highest office in the land. Section 7. The passing of an icon, mourning a national treasure. On December 29, 2024, the world mourned the passing of former President Jimmy Carter, who died peacefully at his home in Plains, Georgia, at the age of 100. Carter's death marked the end of an era, as he was the last surviving president of the 20th century. Tributes poured in from across the globe, honoring his legacy as a statesman, humanitarian, and man of faith. President Joe Biden, who served as a young senator during Carter's presidency, ordered flags to be flown at half-staff for 30 days in honor of the late president. Biden remembered Carter as a man of principle and integrity, who taught us that public service is about something bigger than ourselves. He praised Carter's unwavering commitment to peace, human rights, and democracy, and called him one of our nation's greatest public servants. Carter's passing was met with an outpouring of grief and gratitude from people of all walks of life. He was remembered for his humility, his compassion, and his unwavering belief in the goodness of humanity. Despite the challenges he faced during his presidency, Carter never lost sight of his values or his commitment to serving others. As the nation mourned the loss of this iconic figure, many reflected on the lessons of his extraordinary life. Carter's story is a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of integrity, and the enduring impact of a life dedicated to service. Section 8. Celebrating a life well lived. Funeral arrangements and tributes. In the wake of Jimmy Carter's passing, plans were made for a state funeral befitting his stature as a former president and global icon. The funeral was scheduled for January 9, 2025 at the Washington National Cathedral, with President Biden delivering the eulogy. Dignitaries and world leaders from across the globe were expected to attend, paying their respects to a man who had dedicated his life to peace and understanding. Prior to the state funeral, Carter's body lay in state at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, allowing the public to pay their respects. Thousands of mourners lined up for hours, braving the winter cold to bid farewell to a president who had touched their lives. Public observances were also held in Atlanta and Plains, Georgia, giving Carter's home state a chance to honor their native son. Throughout the period of mourning, tributes continued to pour in from all corners of the world. Former presidents, world leaders, and everyday citizens alike shared their memories of Carter, highlighting his warmth, his humor, and his unwavering commitment to making the world a better place. The Carter Center, which he founded with Rosalynn, announced plans to continue his work, ensuring that his legacy of peace and service would live on. As the nation prepared to lay Jimmy Carter to rest, there was a palpable sense of loss, but also of profound gratitude for a life well lived. His journey from peanut farmer to president to global humanitarian served as an inspiration to millions, reminding us that one person can indeed make a difference in the world. Section 9. An enduring legacy. Carter's impact on America and the world. Jimmy Carter's legacy is complex and multifaceted, encompassing both the triumphs and tribulations of his presidency and the extraordinary impact of his post-presidency humanitarian work. While his time in the White House was marked by economic challenges and the Iran hostage crisis, he also achieved significant foreign policy successes, most notably the Camp David Accords. However, it was Carter's post-presidency work that truly cemented his place in history. Through the Carter Center, he dedicated his life to promoting peace, democracy, and global health. His tireless efforts to resolve conflicts, fight disease, and advance human rights earned him the Nobel Peace Prize and the admiration of people around the world. Carter's legacy extends beyond his policy achievements. He will be remembered for his humility, his integrity, and his unwavering commitment to his values. In an era of increasing political polarization, Carter remained a beacon of civility and compassion, always willing to reach across the aisle and engage in respectful dialogue. As future generations reflect on the life and legacy of Jimmy Carter, they will undoubtedly find inspiration in his unwavering belief in the power of human connection, his dedication to serving others, and his enduring